Hey guys, it's Jason here, and I am on the way home. I'm not going to be answering a question today, just because. What? Here you go. You have to give it back after we're done. But I'm not going to be answering a question today because my Kindle died. I totally forgot to charge it last night. But I was just thinking about. Oh, excuse me. I've got the op coming up in a couple weeks, which I'm really excited about, Star Trek op. I'm going over to Jeets tomorrow. We're going to play some Star Trek Attack Wing. I can't stop yawning, apparently. But I think for the next op, I'm probably going to be using the same team. And I spent a while thinking about this. Okay, to give an explanation of the next op, basically, it's another Borg-focused one. Obviously, the next, like, 2 more are. So it's 3 months of the Borg collective op. So, in this one, both players are kind of on a team. You're co-op, you can't attack each other, basically. I think that Federation players can still drop out cloaked mines that people can run into, but I'm not 100% sure. And I doubt it's really gonna happen. So, there's a Borg cube on one side of the map. A little quieter, please. And then there's a debris field with broken ships between your deployment zone and the Borg cube. And both players deploy on the other side, like opposite the Borg cube. And essentially what happens is every turn the Borg cube targets up to the 5 closest ships. At any range. It has no range restrictions. Now, a couple things I'm not 100% sure at is I don't know, not quite so loud, Goblin Child, please quiet down. There's a fox head in the road. Wow, it's the weirdest roadkill I've seen in a while. I'm not sure if you get the defense die bonus if you're outside 3, or if it gets an extra die if you're inside 1. I have to find that out. I'll reread the rules again tonight. And I don't remember the exact attack values, but I know that once a turn, it doesn't move. When once a turn, it fires on up to the 5 closest ships to it. So, you know, if there's 8 ships in the game, it'll just, the closest 5 get shot at. And that's at a lower die value. I think it's around 4 die per. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it's 4 die per. And then if there aren't 5 ships, it'll fire at the closest 4 at a higher value, all the way down to like 1 ship is like something like a 9 or a 10 shot, a really, really strong shot. And then every point of damage you do to the cube, you get a point for. And if you do a crit on a hit, when you attack, if you get at least 1 crit, you get an extra point. So like if you roll 4 hits and a crit, you're gonna get 5-6 points. But if you roll 3 hits and 2 crits, you're still only gonna get 6 points. You don't get an extra point for every crit. And essentially, the person with the most points at the end of the game wins. The game either ends at the hour match limit timeout, or the game ends if there are no ships of you or your opponents left. And you're not allowed to attack each other, but, you know, that Borg cube's going to start knocking through them pretty quick. And I think I'm going to be bringing the same fleet I did last time. And that might sound a little insane because, you know, it is a weaker fleet, like, purely structure-wise. But my reasoning behind this is what I'm going to be trying to do is, okay, so going into it, I'm going to have 3 ships and then the 1 random, so 4 ships. My opponents are either going to be bringing 1, 2, or 3. From what I saw last time, I assume most people will be bringing either 1 souped up ship or 2 ships. So that's going to be 2 to 3 on their side. So, yeah, I'll have more ships on the field, which does mean I'll get targeted more. But 3 of my 4 ships will be cloaked, unless I happen to get the Klingon ship, which would still be amazing. I really want the Klingon ship as my blind booster. Oh, but not only because I think it would fit well with my fleet, but also just because I want that Klingon ship. A little bit of a completionist when it comes to the Klingons. But, so I'll, you know, I think a lot of the people I'm going to be against are going to be fielding 2 or 3, where I'll have 4. So obviously I'm going to be taking the big brunt of the damage, but most of my ships are going to be cloaked, which gives me a total of like 5 or 6 defense die, depending on which ship they're hitting, which is kind of awesome. Yeah, I know, a lucky roll for the Borg and a bad roll for me can really hurt with a crit, but, I mean, those odds are going to be definitely in my favor. So my plan, and I can deal, and the biggest thing is Worf. I can put out massive amounts of Alpha Strike damage. I mean, Worf gets to roll 6 or 7 dice, depending on how you play it. And, you know, I get to activate Drex, turn one of the battle stations into a, I get to reroll all my blanks, activate battles, or one battle station into a crit, and the rest into hits. I mean, I could rather conceivably, and I've done this in a lot of the plays where I've played with this fleet, get 6, 7 hits and crits right there. And that is a huge amount of points to just bam out in one turn. And I'm not going to lose, unless I have the worst possible rolls ever, I'm not going to lose those ships immediately. I might take a couple hits, but I'm not going to, boom, one shot, my ship's dead. It is not going to happen. So I need to double check those damage values. I believe it's 4 when there's 5 ships on the field. And me putting forth the 4 ships guarantees it's at those weaker values. Now that's going to quickly ramp up, but my hope is basically to get in there, hit it as much damage as I can, and then try to keep the opponent closer and just kind of make bombing runs on it. And basically I'm just going to go for hit as much damage as I can, as fast as I can, and then I'm out. You know, eventually my ships will die off. I'll just, as much damage as I can get out of them as possible. And, you know, once it gets down to that, you know, 2 shots, 1 shot, my opponent is not going to last very long. It doesn't matter what they bring. You know, with getting a 9 or a 10 shot rolled against you every turn, you don't last long. So I'm hoping to be able to push out enough early damage that even if I get knocked out first, I can still win damage-wise. So that's my plan. I also like thematically the idea of bringing the same fleet to each of the op and the arc. I don't know if I'm going to do that next arc, but for this arc I think I'm going to, because it feels good thematically. I like, you know, this is the fleet that I'm going to fly. I like it. Next arc, probably not going to, but with this arc, yeah, I like it. It's a good feeling. I mean, with this arc, I'm just having fun. I'm not expecting to win. I'm just having fun and just rolling with it that way. But yes, that's what I'm planning on doing with that op. Which I don't remember exactly what day that is. It's after my birthday, I believe. I think it's 20-something. I don't know. Oh, my birthday's coming up. That's weird. I feel like I'm getting so old. I don't know. But, I'm hoping to launch the podcast tomorrow. I'm gonna have to talk to a few people when I get home to see if the hosting for my site is ready to go. If not tomorrow, it'll be at some point next week. Fingers crossed. But keep an eye out on these vlogs and my Twitter, at Icy New Year. And I have a new Twitter, actually, for the podcast. It's at Beyond Beardcast. So yeah, at Beyond Beardcast. But yeah, if you have any questions, any comments, anything you want to hear discussed in the podcast, and on the podcast we're talking about just gaming in general. We're gonna just, whatever topics strike us in gaming. Like in the first one, it was very much all board gaming. I don't think we touched on video games at all. Stop yelling. Stop yelling. I don't think we touched on video games at all, but we talked about Marvel Dice Masters and then some Kickstarter stuff and a few other things. But feel free to call the hotline down below. It's 304-581-7431. That'll take you to a voicemail, and that voicemail gets emailed to me. You can email me at beyondthebeardpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet at us at beyondbeardcast. So that's the contact info for the podcast. I had a ton of fun with it. I know I keep saying this, but man, it was enjoyable. Like, I really, really want to get to the point where I'm comfortable making it a weekly podcast just because it was so much fun to do. But it is going to stay bi-weekly for now, just to be certain that, you know, I can always get it out on time. Greg Gost was a fantastic co-host. For those who don't know, Greg Gost has been, like, my best friend since freshman year of high school. We've known each other quite a while, so we have some, like, we have good back and forth when we talk. And he's one of the few people that's willing to call me on my crap. So that's always fun. But I've got some cool guests lined up for the podcast. I'm pretty excited about all that. But let's get off the podcast topic. I've been harking on that for forever. I started working in Iceopolis today. I didn't record anything because I was babysitting. But started doing some work, just playing around, had some fun. I'm going to focus on Iceopolis recording next week. Just still, everything this week was settling down. I only got a couple recording days in this week. But, yeah, just little things kept happening. But everything's starting to settle down, so, yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to go over today. Tomorrow I'll be back and I'll have a question. But yeah, as always, have a great one.